thing.
Well, a lot of them you're sort of converting sound from like arcades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To what's your kind of process of sort of translating that there? Do you try and keep it to your original?
No, not at all. I was with I think early one. I mean, Girls and Girls going back to the Commodore 64. I think what we did was you listen to the arcade, and we stole key themes sort of thing, just like a couple of bars from it, and then just do something completely different with those familiar bars, just to keep the licensee happy. Do you know what I mean? License, whoever it was, the company paying for the license or anything. And then just do your own thing,
You just went for it.
Yeah, just do. Well, the thing is, it was all just about having a laugh to me. You know what I mean? I was just like, if I'm not enjoying it, I wouldn't have bothered. But.
So does it make you laugh right enough now when you look back over when you originally had just 3 channels?
Yeah.
With like over like 9 octaves or something, or even less in some cases to work with, and now you've got like whole DVD theme tracks to work with. What's that like now when you look back and like review that?
I don't know. You see, I kind of liked it back then because it was so simple and it was kind of, you could get paid for doing something very simple. Basically, and that's the way I saw it. You know what I mean? It was getting, quite comfortable. Decent amount of money. Well, not a huge amount of money as it was. But you know what I mean? I was happy to do that, and it was. You always had this thing where no matter what your musical influences were. Yeah. Which mine were usually prog rock, unfortunately, at that time, right? And just junk, just complete rubbish. But no matter what your influences were, you could always sort of say, well, I pushed it a bit further technically, I'd made this sound like a guitar or whatever it was. You know what I mean? There was always that sort of element to it, so you could always sort of impress people with that side of it. But of course, once that goes, it's just down to your prog rock influences, you know what I mean? And people either like it or they don't,
What do you find like with people sort of when people find out you've done like the music on certain titles? Because you must feel now like a lot of these things are part of people's childhoods.
Yeah,
and when you find that you've done that, like you've really had an influential effect on what kind of chat do you get from people?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, the last sort of, I'd say since I hooked up to the internet, which was about 6 years ago or something. Yeah. 6 or 7 years ago, I was sort of, I've had a sort of constant, steady stream of emails of people just writing to me saying, I remember your music from the blah, 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 whatever it was. Sort of thing. That was great. And I got a harrowing email actually from someone, I can't remember, it's not from Spain, could have been from Spain, I think. And he was saying that his brother and him used to play with all these games and remembers all his music sort of thing, because they used to get those games for the music, right, he said. So
it just shows you like the impact that this sort of has, like, in a way.
I think it's like the kind of nostalgia thing, that's all it is, isn't it? Nostalgia is anything that you've not heard for 20 years or whatever, and you hear it again. It's as music, I think, is one of those things, isn't it? That you know what I mean? It's something that if you don't hear it for a long time, it really triggers the memory when you get it.
I think it's more than that, though. If it's rubbish, then people they don't let it trigger their imagination.
Trigger a bad memory.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, so it's obviously not getting that kind of response. Yeah. Have you ever had anyone come up with a kind of Tetris kind of dance theme? Remix of any of your work and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There's whole communities that do that remix. Yeah, I've had lots of people send me remixes.
What kind of stuff have you had?
Girls and Ghosts a lot. Lots of Commodore 64 stuff. LED Storm was.
What kind of thing do they do with it?
They just remix it and send it to me, and I just have to be polite.
You go, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's sort of a thing. Great. What do you want me to do now?
They want you to dance.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I want to video myself dancing.
Is any of it any good? Have you ever went, actually a good
effort? No, it is.
Yeah,
no, it's really good. A lot of the stuff is kind of, you just think, well, that's much better than I would have done. Could do now, probably.
So from that kind of stuff, have you ever had like any sort of more contact stuff you've made? Do people getting in touch because of like the internet and stuff like that?
Yeah. I've had a few people get in touch. The main thing about that is that companies can get in touch with me now to give me work, sort of thing. But as regards, I don't know, a lot of them are in different countries, and fortunately.
I mean, the one thing I did want to ask you is like your enjoyment of games, having worked that side of the industry for so long. Yeah. I mean, do you see yourself as a gamer at all?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. I mean,
why do you think that is?
I think I was very close to it for a long, for 5-6 years, whatever it was, seeing them being developed, and kind of being in that atmosphere of people being into games. And to be honest, I was just more interested in music, When I went home, I was more interested in playing the guitar or being in the band or something, you know.
Would you sort of like, is it fair to sort of liken it to like sort of directors and stuff, the way they look at other films and stuff?
Yeah.
You kind of lose your objectivity in a sense.
Oh yeah.
And you kind of lose that kind of passion, well, the kind of rawness of enjoying a game.
Yeah, you do, and it's the old sort of you seeing behind the curtain, you know, it's the magic is gone sort of thing, because not particularly with games, you know, with certainly music, it's sort of, you know,
it's gone.
It's gone, really. Yeah.
How much do you think that affects people working in that industry, genuinely working that side? Do you think it's had an effect on the industry, on the people that work in it, or?
Yeah, it might have done. I mean, there was always more interest in bettering the previous company's game. You know what I mean? There was a lot of rivalry that went on, sort of thing, and it was usually technical rivalry. You know, like that company pushed the limits a bit further, and I was quite happy to play Frogger. You know what I mean? I was sort of like, to me, it was a game. Is you put it on for 10 minutes and you play it, like Sega Rally or something. It was the most recent example of that. You know, I'll play that for 10 minutes, but I've had enough after 10 minutes. You know what I mean? That's done. You know what I mean?
Do you think the way that maybe people are sort of maybe missing out on the kind of gameplay aspect of games and stuff, also relates into how happy they are working in the industry and stuff? So, 'cause, like you yourself, you don't do so much working that side of the industry now anymore. No. Is that something that's been an effect for you? Is it something you've had enough, or what were your reasons for that, really?
Well, yeah, both, to be honest. It was, I think I just got to a point with it. I just thought I've got to do something else. You know, I've been doing this for too long now, and it was unreliable work-wise. You know, it was not a steady stream of cash by any means. You know, it was kind of very unreliable. You know, and companies quite often would change their minds. They'd hire me to do something, and then change their minds, and it'd be kind of, you know, I did Starsky and Hutch most recently, sort of thing, like when was that, a couple of years ago, you know, on the old platforms, I think that was, and that was in development for 3 years or something, and they contacted me at the start of that, and they said, right, we want some music for this, and I said, great, okay, and then 6 months went by, and there was nothing, sort of thing, and then I think I started it and got so far into it, and then they said, okay, it's been shelved for a little while, sort of thing, so it's kind of, you can't, you know, this is useless.
Can't work like that.
You know, you can't, so.
Yeah. But you've moved on now. There's different projects now and stuff you're working on. What's for you in the future now? Because you've got a great website.
Oh, right.
Look at that before. It's great design and stuff.
Right. Well, I'm doing graphic design. Yeah, to be honest, on the side now.
Yeah.
Pretty much, you know. Well, I got into sort of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Which you know about. Alex, I mentioned that.
I know. Yeah.
Right.
How much you think your Game Pass has affected now how you work with your other projects?
I think definitely, you know, I kind of come at it. I don't think I really do come at it from a sound point of view, but it's certainly something that I spend a lot of time on. You know, sort of thing. And I think if you think musically, you sort of tend to, you know, I tend to sort of think, you know, sort of my interest in sort of films and things like that is probably the kind of interest that's got no commercial value whatsoever. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of, I'm into kind of the atmosphere of it and the, you know what I mean, sort of you know what I mean, just sort of an ambience of it, sort of thing, and not necessarily into people with guns shooting each other. You know what I mean? So it's, you know what I mean. I don't know. It's a funny thing. Maybe I shouldn't be trying to make films.